Welcome to the deep dive. We take your source material and really try to get under the skin of it.
That's right.
Today we're looking at excerpts from Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis, a story that, well, it sticks with you.
It definitely does. And our mission here is, not just to recap the plot. We want to dig into why it resonates. We'll look at the bizarre events, obviously, but also the themes Kafka's tackling, and maybe some of those allegorical meanings people have found in it over the years.
Yeah, and look, Metamorphosis is strange. It's unsettling, no doubt about it. But think of us as your guides, navigating it together. We'll hit the key points, talk about what they might mean, but hopefully without getting too bogged down in overly academic stuff.
That's good.
Okay, so that opening, let's just dive right in.
Absolutely. One morning when Gregor Samsa woke from troubled dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a horrible vermin. Bam! Just like that.
It's incredibly shocking, right? Drops you straight in. But what's almost more striking is what Gregor thinks about first.
Exactly. Not, oh my God, I'm a giant bug.
No, it's my job. I'm late for the train. My boss will be furious.
His job as a traveling salesman, the family's debt. That's his immediate worry.
It says so much about his mindset, doesn't it? This relentless pressure of work and responsibility completely overshadowing this monstrous physical change.
It really does. It sort of points to that alienation of modern work, maybe. His whole identity seems wrapped up in being the provider.
He keeps thinking about the debt his family owes his boss, how he has to keep working to pay it off.
Yeah, that financial weight is huge for him. And now, he physically can't work. He looks down at his, what does Kafka call him? Pitifully thin legs.
Right. Useless. And then the struggle just to get out of bed, it's almost darkly comic, trying to roll this new huge body over.
It really highlights his complete powerlessness. He's lost control over his own body.
And that powerlessness isn't just physical, is it? Because his mind is still Gregor's, but he's trapped.
Completely trapped. And when his family starts knocking, worried because he's late.
Which he never is.
Right. He tries to answer, but all that comes out is this awful squeaking sound they can't understand.
That breakdown in communication, it's immediate and profound.
It really is. Language, connection, gone. It makes you wonder, if he can't communicate like a human, how human is he anymore, even if his thoughts are still there?
That's a deep question. What makes us human? Identity.
And then things escalate. The chief clerk shows up.
Oh, yeah. The boss's representative. Pure business.
He's not there out of concern, really. He's there because Gregor's performance is slipping. There are rumors, money involved.
He starts laying into Gregor through the door, accusations, threats about his job, the family's debt, just piling on the pressure.
He's like the embodiment of that cold, uncaring system Gregor's trapped in.
And Gregor's desperately trying to explain, trying to unlock the door with his mouth. It's agonizing.
And then he finally manages it. He reveals himself.
And the reaction, the chief clerk is just horrified, runs away immediately.
Understandably, perhaps. But then the family's reaction, particularly the father.
Yeah. That's rough. His father doesn't try to understand. He grabs a cane, then later, the apple.
He physically drives Gregor back into his room, shouting, and then throws an apple hard. It gets lodged in Gregor's back.
Ooh. That apple becomes this physical manifestation of the rejection, doesn't it? A wound that never really heals.
It's such a potent symbol. Some people connect it to, the Garden of Eden, the forbidden fruit. A kind of fall from grace in his family's eyes.
A violent rejection. So this whole transformation, it's obviously symbolic. What are we looking at here? Alienation seems like the big one.
Absolutely. Feeling totally isolated, different, misunderstood, cut off from family, society, everything. It's a powerful metaphor for that feeling many people have.
Feeling like an outsider in your own life.
Yeah, or maybe feeling monstrous or perceived as monstrous by others.
And the burden of responsibility. He was the provider, now he's not.
Right, the entire family structure collapses. Suddenly they have to fend for themselves. The burden shifts completely.
Which is interesting because they do dialogue. The father gets a job, the mother sews, the sister works.
Roles reverse. Gregor becomes a dependent one. They find their own strength, in a way.
But it changes how they see him, drastically.
Definitely. And there's that theme of dehumanization, too. Being reduced to vermin. Is it about losing your worth if you can't be productive in society's eyes?
Like the chief clerk saw him, just a cog, if the cog breaks.
It's discarded. It reflects how people can be reduced to their economic function. Maybe their humanity gets ignored.
And the family dynamics are just painful to watch unfold after that initial shock wears off.
Especially with Greed, the sister. At first, she's the one who tries.
Yeah, she takes on the caring role, brings him food, Noticing he doesn't like fresh milk anymore, prefers rotting scraps.
Which is another sign of his transformation, his tastes changing. But even her care starts to change over time.
It becomes a duty, then a burden. You see the resentment building.
And Gregor overhears them talking about money worries, how they have to work, maybe even needing to move house because of him.
He hears them discussing him, the burden he represents. That must be crushing.
He still feels that connection, though, especially to Crete. He remembers her violin playing, how he dreamed of sending her to the conservatory.
That human connection is still there inside him, wanting to reach out.
Which makes the furniture removal scene so poignant.
Oh, yeah. Greet and the mother decide to clear out his room, give him more space to crawl.
The mother resists a bit, wanting to leave things as they were, keep some link to the human Gregor.
But Greet insists. It's practical now. He's not human Gregor anymore, in her eyes.
And Gregor panics. He clings desperately to that picture on the wall, the woman in furs. It's like the last piece of his old life, his humanity.
Such a powerful image of him trying to hold on to something.
But the detachment grows. Then they take in the boarders.
Right. 3 gentlemen renting a room to help with money, which makes Gregor's situation even worse.
Suddenly, he has to be hidden even more carefully. His presence is an embarrassment, a liability. The family's life revolves around keeping the boarders happy.
He becomes even more isolated, neglected. His room basically becomes a storage dump.
Yeah, they just start throwing unwanted stuff in there. He barely eats. He's just fading.
And then comes that scene with the violin again. Greet plays for the boarders.
And Gregor, drawn by the music,
Yeah.
maybe the last beautiful thing he can connect with, he creeps out of his room.
He wants to be near it, near her. He imagines telling her how much he appreciates it, maybe even.
Connecting with her again on some level. It shows that spark of humanity, that desire, is still flickering.
But the boarders notice him, and they are not impressed.
No. They're disgusted, annoyed. They threaten to leave immediately without paying.
And that's the breaking point for the family, isn't it?
Both.
Especially for Greet.
Absolutely. After the boarders leave, she just snaps. She tells her parents, we have to get rid of it.
Not him.
We can't go on living like this. This creature is persecuting us. It's a complete rejection.
That must be the final blow for Gregor.
It seems to be. He overhears it all. He understands. He feels, maybe, that they're right, that he should disappear for their sake.
So he goes back to his room. He stops trying to eat. He just lets go.
His physical condition deteriorates rapidly. His breathing gets shallow. Kafka describes his final moments almost peacefully.
Yeah, he thinks of his family with tenderness and love. He accepts his death.
And when the cleaner finds him dead the next morning, the family's reaction is, well, relief.
Sad but undeniable relief. They feel liberated. The burden is gone.
It's a stark, unsettling ending. The final paragraphs show them leaving the apartment, feeling hopeful about the future, noticing how Greet has blossomed.
As if Gregor's suffering and death were necessary for their renewal. It's quite chilling.
It really is. So, stepping back from the plot, these themes we touched on, alienation, responsibility, dehumanization, family dynamics, they all weave together.
What do you think is the core message? If there is one, what's Kafka really getting at?
Well, like a lot of Kafka's work, it kind of resists one single easy answer. That's part of its power, you know. But I think at its heart, it's exploring how fragile human connection can be, how the pressures of modern life work, money, societal expectations can isolate us, even dehumanize us.
And how family bonds, which we think of as unconditional, can actually break under extreme strain.
Exactly. Gregor's transformation is bizarre, yes.
Yeah.
But it acts as this incredibly potent metaphor for feeling trapped, misunderstood, maybe even monstrous, and ultimately being discarded when you no longer fit the mold or serve a purpose.
That idea of value being tied to usefulness, it's harsh. His family valued him when he provided, when he couldn't.
He became it, a burden. It forces you to confront some uncomfortable questions about how we value people and under what conditions love and acceptance can just erode.
And the vermin form itself. Why vermin? So repulsive.
It's deliberately unsettling. Maybe it symbolizes those parts of ourselves or others that society finds undesirable, threatening, the things we want to hide or get rid of, leading to that rejection.
And the fact that the transformation just happens, no reason given.
Right. That adds to the absurdity, the feeling that life can be illogical, oppressive. That's the whole Kafkaesque idea, isn't it? These bizarre, nonsensical situations where you feel utterly powerless.
Like Gregor's entire experience after waking up.
Exactly. The lack of explanation highlights how random suffering can feel, how little control we sometimes have. It underscores that struggle to find meaning in a world that often seems indifferent.
Okay, so just to quickly recap for everyone listening, we've got Gregor's shocking change into vermin.
His initial focus on his job, trying to cope.
Then the family's shift from concern to resentment and neglect.
The arrival of the boarders making things worse.
Gregsy's final devastating rejection after the violin incident.
And Gregor's quiet death, followed by the family's relief and sense of a fresh start.
And woven through it all are these heavy themes: alienation, the weight of responsibility, dehumanization, and those complex, strained family ties.
Yeah, it's a tough read, but so layered.
Definitely unsettling. But hopefully this deep dive gives you a better handle on the plot, the themes, and maybe some of the allegorical ideas that make Metamorphosis so enduring.
It taps into really fundamental anxieties, I think, about belonging, purpose, our place in the world. They still resonate today.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for you to chew on. In what ways might we, maybe without even realizing it, treat others or even parts of ourselves as a burden or an it when they don't meet certain expectations?
That's a challenging question. We definitely encourage you to read the full story if you haven't, and maybe explore more Kafka. There's a lot there.
For sure. Thanks for taking this depth dive with us today.